Hello everyone, this is MegamanNG and welcome to my first ever Let's Play of Kirby's Adventure for the NES, brought to you by the Walkthrough Hub. This is going to be a post-commentary playthrough as I will provide my thoughts on the game itself along with some few funny moments. Right now we're beginning with the first level of 7 in Kirby's Adventure, Vegetable Valley. And yes, I'm mostly a speed runner when I do this sort of thing, because I always like to get things done fast and quick. You just saw me swallow up one of the Waddle Dees, which has the beam ability. The beam ability fires a beam that is like in a crescent arc. Very useful if you want to take down enemies high, mid, or low, and you could also do it while jumping in the air. Though I was an idiot having to eject that, but whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Anyway, my next power I get is Fire Kirby, which fires out some major fire breath. Though it is kind of useful in my humble opinion, since it can have multiple hits and that such. And it also takes their enemies out in front. Basically, it has a good enough range. Okay, so I'm not just passing down the way, taking out more enemies, yada yada yada. And we're about to reach the end. And I have to say, this game is actually relatively short. Relatively short indeed. Yep, just got myself a free life. And we have more of this world to check out. So it's time now we check on the second area. Yeah, I'm mostly moving around at high speed, just avoiding everything and using fire when necessary. And also, you have to dodge all enemies. And I get a new power, Cutter Kirby. Cutter Kirby is basically, you throw like a, how do I put this? Like a cutting thing. How do I put this? Just like in the show, it always sends the attack right back at you. When you throw Cutter, it always sends it back. And when you jump, you can send out multiple of these at a time, like a few at a time, which is very useful. And I got hit by that nasty enemy right there. Very nasty. So you know what? I decided to give it a reversal of fortune and pack on the cutters. I'm going to need plenty just to take it down. And it gets taken down with little to no effort, despite the fact that I should be doing better, and I just moved on. If you would swallow it, you would end up getting the Crash ability. The Crash ability is a one-time use, meaning that you only get one shot, and that's it. Besides, I would save it for like a really tough opponent. And I thought I would swallow it to get bombed, but this is the NES game, not the later ports. The later ports end up giving you more interesting powers. So I climb up, taking out those enemies right there, and there's a Blade Knight. Now, not the Yu-Gi-Oh card, but the actual person itself. And I swallowed up to get Sword Kirby. And Sword is basically one of the most interesting abilities to have. What it basically, you just use it to attack enemies. Also, when you jump and you attack, you can do a spin attack, which is very useful. And I become an idiot and wanted to go back on the stage again. That wasn't very right. So I now move on to Area 3. And Area 3 is not that hard, really. It's just I need to dodge enemies and I make sure to take out those cannons, because those cannons are a big problem. I just basically take out the blocks and they're that much of a threat. And I nearly fell, which was kind of stupid. And I got hit again. It doesn't matter. So I get... I thought I was going to get a new power, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We're almost on our way, so we should be able to reach... Ooh, Fireball. In the later versions, they refer to the Fireball as Burning Kirby, which basically all Kirby does is a Flame Dash, which is kind of useful if you want to go through most projectiles, but I think I would be using more interesting powers later on. And yeah, I'm down to 1 health, but knowing my gaming skill, I could just pretty much go through everything, even at low health. Take it from me, I went through hard mode. Hard mode was a pain in the butt as it is. But it was more fun for me since I did it both the NES and the GBA port, Nightmare in Dreamland, which includes the ability to play as Meta Knight. Now don't get me wrong, you don't have the... how do I put this? Oh yeah, you don't have the ability to play as Meta Knight in the NES game. And I got a Max Tomato, which restores all my health. And I'm almost at the end of the level, which is pretty good in my opinion. Anyway, as I go through the end levels, you notice that if you like push A, you could basically have Kirby hit higher. The farther you go, the bigger the reward. Though if you reach number 1, you get a free life, which I did in the very beginning. So this is the 4th act, the 4th area of the game, and I got hit by this annoying seal-like villain. Though using Fireball Kirby would help, but I don't think it's going to help me anyway. So I swallow him up and gain Freeze. Now what's interesting is that Kirby's blue. Now in later versions they decide to fix it up by giving him proper hats, but in the NES port, Freeze Kirby is basically Kirby on ice, which basically forms a defensive barrier that would not only protect you from enemies, but also freeze them and use them as either projectiles or as like platforms. And there's my most useful power-up in the game, next to the hammer. I wanted to get it, but being an idiot, I ended up losing energy in the process. And there it is again, and I'm being an idiot again. Yeah, I have a knack for ending up with 1 hit point out of 6. In hard mode, it's just 3 hits and you're dead, but it's normal, it's 6 hits. And I get Needle Kirby. Now, Needle Kirby is just like any other defensive Kirby, like Spark or, like, how do I put this, Mirror. In the later versions, you get better powers. Even in Return to Dreamland, you get some kick-ass powers, too. So, I just keep moving on my way, and there's Meta Knight, and he gives me a strange lollipop, which turns me invincible. Now, what I like about this is that you could basically go through everything. And look at that there. I just go through that cannon like it was nothing, despite the fact that I slowed down a bit. And I'm almost at the end, which is pretty good. So, for a level like this, it's kind of short, but I could have done better. Either way, I'm getting better at these jumping things, and I get more points. Though points don't really matter that much, it's the extra lives that does. Now, before I end the video, I just thought I'd show you around 2 other places. First up is the museum, where you get to see a display of different powers that you could use for tougher levels. For example, you just saw the sword. Now, next up is a minigame, Crane Fever, which is in the NES version. The GBA one has more interesting minigames, especially like with racing, patty cake, etc., etc. Even the Samurai Kirby, which is my favorite. And in this minigame right here, Crane Fever, you're just basically trying to get extra lives. The small Kirbys are worth 1 extra life, while the big ones are worth 2. Though, good luck trying to get the bigger ones if you get it in a position where it'll fall. See that right there? The small Kirby, it's hanging by a thread, but since it's so close, you could just basically get it, no problem. It's pretty simple if you know what you're doing, and I get myself 3 extra lives. Yippee. Nothing fancy or anything like that. And I have my full health back, which is a good thing. And it's time now we take on the boss. There's that teleporter there that's starred over the door, but it's locked. We won't be seeing it till much later. Anyway, this is the first boss, Wispy Woods. Wispy Woods is actually pretty easy. If you have Needle Kirby, you can just basically hold it and it'll be done. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time when we tackle the next world.